After you've been using Adobe Lightroom for a while and you've imported hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of images, finding the image you're looking for becomes like the proverbial needle in the haystack, right? Well, in this video today, I'm going to share with you some time-saving tips, some ways in which you can slice and dice your library catalog to find the exact image or series of images that you're looking for. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey there, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So in this video, we're going to create some smart collections, and I'm going to show you the smart collections that I use, the ones that I like, the ones that work well for me. But really my goal and my intent here is to not only share with you ones that work well for me in the hope that they work well for you as well, but also show you the power and what it is that's possible, the things you can do with smart collections. So you can modify the ones that I'm showing you here, or you can build your own from scratch. All right, so let's jump into Adobe Lightroom Classic here. And the first thing that I would recommend doing is coming over here and click on this plus symbol here. Now you'll see options here. You probably know these already for Create Collection. Here is Create Smart Collection, and we're gonna do that in a minute. But first I would recommend using this, Create Collection Set. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create one called My Smart Collections and decheck this because I want it to be its own set. Hit create. Now I have a place to be putting the smart collections that I'm going to be building, and we're not just, they're not gumming up the collections panel here. So this is just a way to, keep things a little more organized. So let's begin, and I'm going to share with you one of my favorite smart collections that I use all the time. There's one kind of similar to it built into Lightroom, but this one's a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to the far left dropdown. I'm going to choose date and then select edit date, and then change this dropdown to is today. And this smart collection is really helpful, especially in situations where like maybe you edit an image and then you move on and you edit something else and then maybe something else after that. And then you think, wait, I need to go back to that one that I edited earlier. But when you have this smart collection, you just click on it and you always know, you're always able to find everything that you've been actively working on that particular day. We can edit this. You can just right click on it, select edit smart collection. And then in here, you can change the date. The time frame you could do is yesterday, this week, this month, this year. This year might be a little too broad. That might be a little too much, depending on how much you use Lightroom. But this week and this month are pretty good options as well. So you could create additional smart collections for this week, this month, in addition to today. Okay, let's create another one. So let's come back up here to the plus menu. Going to click on that, create smart collection. We are going to come down here to develop, select has edits, set this to is false. Going to create another rule, go to date, capture date. Going to click on this one here and select is in the last, and then we're going to do 1 month. And there we go. Now I'm able to see all of the unedited images that I haven't done anything with that were shot in the past month. You can use this smart collection to quickly sort and show you all of the images that you haven't done anything with, the ones that you've yet to edit and you may not ever edit, you may do nothing with. And these are only the most recent ones from the past month. And again, you can change that time frame to whatever you want. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the smart collection is that if you are inside the smart collection, if you are browsing the images inside of it, and let's say you double click on one and then you develop it in some way, well, the image disappears. And the reason why the image disappears is because now the image is edited. So it doesn't fit the criteria of the smart collection anymore. So what you can do instead, what I would recommend doing is when you find an image in here, and let's say you want to edit this one, don't do it inside the smart collection. Come back up here to all photographs, click on that, then double click on the image. And when you make an edit to it, then it's not going to disappear on you. You can make an edit and it will still be automatically removed from that smart collection, but at least it's not going to disappear on you. All right, let's create another one. So let's come up here, go to create smart collection, and then we're going to click on this drop down. We're going to go to date, capture date is, and we're going to select is today. And I need to put this inside of the appropriate set here. And this is going to be images captured today. Now, I've been recording a video. Obviously, I haven't been shooting anything today, But the reason why I like this smart collection is because, sometimes I'm in a situation where, especially when I'm like making content for a video or something, like I'll take some images, I'll import them, take the card out, put it back in the camera, shoot more images, come back, repeat the process. And I might do this like 2 or 3 times. Well, the previous import, which, catalog view at top left, which is kind of like a smart collection in and of itself, that can be used if I'm only importing once. But if I'm importing 2 or 3 times in a day, well, all of my previous imports are gone because it only shows the most recent previous import. So with this smart collection here, I can shoot, import, and I'm able to see everything that I captured today in one smart collection. So, and this is always live. So, later on, like, 2 or 3 months from now, I could shoot some images, import the card, and repeat that process however many times I want, and they will all show up in that smart collection, and then it'll clear out at midnight. Okay, let's create another one. So let's come back up here, go to create smart collection, file name type, and then we're going to select file name, leave this on contains, and then we're going to type into here HDR. And this is great if you're someone who shoots a lot of HDR, because oftentimes those HDR files, those raw files, are like they become your new master files. Like after you've blended those individual exposures and you probably don't need those individual exposures anymore, and you're mainly working on those HDR files, well, this is a great way for you to find those those composite HDR images. And now we're going to create a very similar one for those of you who do panoramic photography. So instead of doing HDR, we just type in pano. And again, Lightroom uses this terminology, and we're going to call this panoramic. And there we go. Just like HDR, it appended, the words pano to it. And so, then we're able to find them. Okay, so the next smart collection will be helpful to those of you who make prints. If you make your own prints, like you have a printer at home, or maybe you send prints off to be printed, and you are using the soft proofing functionality that is built into Lightroom, which is fantastic. Develop is proof, and then just leave this as true. And there we go. So now we can see all the images that I've made prints of over the past year. I can go in and, edit them, do whatever I want. And, this is just a much faster way to be finding those prints when you're like, I need to make a print of something. Much faster way to find them. So speaking of sorting and collecting and publishing your photography, something that's really important to have, I think, is a website for your photography. Don't just, post all of your images to social media. Have like a real website, a home base for your work. And the best place that you can do that, in my opinion, is the place where I publish my own work, and that is with Squarespace. I like using Squarespace for publishing my photos online because their templates are very clean and simple, and I think they're just particularly well suited for viewing images. And I also love the fact that I don't have to worry about mobile. Like web pages look great on mobile as well. Even though I definitely know how to code and how to design and build a website, I prefer using Squarespace because it is so simple and straightforward and easy to use. And it's just one less thing for me to think about. It's so easy just to publish new images and to, start selling items like these. It's super simple. So if you are looking to build a brand new website, or maybe refresh the one that you currently have, if you have an old website that could use a refresh, definitely check out Squarespace. And you can do so absolutely free for 30 days. Kick the tires and see how it works for you by heading over to squarespace.com/Dominey. And then when you're ready to go live with your new site or register a new domain, use my last name, Dominey, to save 10% off your purchase. Okay, so we're going to jump back into Adobe Lightroom here in just a second. But if you've never been to my channel before, if this is the first video you've seen from me, thanks for being here. And I primarily do landscape photography. I do other types of photography, but landscapes are really my thing, I guess. And I have a couple of trips coming up, and whenever I go out and create new work, I bring you along for the experience. And I have a trip coming up to the Oregon coast coming up that I'm excited about. I'm going to be photographing something really different when I go out there, something that captured my imagination and my attention last time I was there, which I think was like a couple of years ago, something like that. And I've been wanting to go back ever since and explore this one thing more. And you'll find out more about that later on. Then I have a pretty long trip coming up later on this fall, going back to the American West again, once it gets a little bit cooler. Going to be heading back out that way again, and which is always one of my favorite places to visit, and I'll be bringing you along for that as well. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, remember to do so down below. All right, so let's create another smart collection. So we're going to come up here, go back to create smart collection, and now we are going to create one using pick flag. We're going to click on pick flag, leave is as is, literally, and then come to this drop down here and choose rejected. So these are going to be our rejected images. Now we can put this back inside of my smart collection set, click create, and there we go. Now this by itself is just showing all of the rejected images in my Lightroom catalog. And I like having a smart collection for this because I have a very bad habit, I've done this multiple times, of accidentally selecting multiple images in my Lightroom like grid view. I'll, hit X on my keyboard to reject it without realizing that I just rejected everything that I have selected. And sometimes I'm able to catch it, but there have been times when I've had like so many rejected images that I fail to notice that I've rejected something important. And then I have to go to Backblaze, and then I have to download, the raw file that was uploaded, assuming that it was backed up. And by the way, if you're not currently using flags for this, the reason why you add rejected flags is because then it's so much easier to delete. You can come up here to the photo menu, come down here and select delete rejected photos. Okay, so let's create another one. Now this one is going to be a little more involved. This is going to have a few more rules in it, but I think it's a really good example of some of the things that you're able to do with this. So let's go back to create smart collection. And this time I'm going to go to camera info. I'm going to choose ISO speed rating is in the range. Let's do 800 to 1000. So what this is going to do so far is include any image in my Lightroom catalog that has an ISO value of 800 to 1000. Now we're going to create another one. We're going to go to develop, has edits, and we're going to set this to is false. And we can go a step further and let's do file name type, go to file type, is digital negative DNG, so a raw file, because I have found that using this rule, sometimes it includes like bitmap images or PSDs, stuff like that, and we don't want any of that. We just want raw images. And there we go. So now I am looking at any and all raw files in my Lightroom catalog that have not been edited, with an elevated ISO value between 800 and 1000. And this is a time-saving step that you can do as like a baseline edit. Like let's say you're editing a ton of images, like you have a bunch to process and sort through, and you really don't want to go in and take the time to be applying noise reduction to each and every one when you have a whole bunch of them that were shot maybe indoors, handheld, elevated ISO levels, and that every single one is going to need some kind of uniform amount of noise reduction. To do that, all you have to do is just select everything that is inside of the Smart Collection, and then come up here to the Quick Develop panel, and you will see a saved preset dropdown. Open up that dropdown, select your noise reduction preset that you have, and then it'll be applied to everything. And because then the images are edited, they will automatically be removed from this Smart Collection. So kind of a nice way just to quickly apply some noise reduction before you dive in and start making edits to your images. Okay, let's create another one. So let's go up here to Smart Collection, create one, and let me get rid of everything. All right, so now we are going to come up here and we're going to choose size, aspect ratio, and then we're going to keep this as portrait. Now there's additional options here for landscape and square as well, but I want portrait. Then I'm going to create another rule, going to say, let's see, develop and has edits equals true. So these are my edited portrait images. Click create, and there they are. So those are images with a portrait orientation, some prom images here mixed in with my landscapes. It's always a little jarring when I'm looking through and I'm like, oh, wow, there's like, family stuff in here. But yeah, I kind of put everything in one catalog. But anyway, yeah, so, the reason why I like this is because when you publish content to social media, when you're creating reels or stories or maybe, stuff for TikTok or whatever you're doing, it's nice to have portrait images that you can crop to 9:16. This is a quick way for me to see all of my edited images that have a portrait orientation that would work well in a 9:16 type of aspect ratio, and I could make edits there thereafter. Now, of course, you can take this further. You could, also include star rating if you use ratings. You could limit it to a specific collection, whatever it is that you're doing. But this is a great way if you're posting images to social and you're looking for specific ones. Really quick and easy way to do it. All right, so let's create another one. Let's come in here, go back to the modal window. Let's remove what we had before. And now we are going to create one by going to Develop, Treatment, Black and White. Now, the limitation here is that unfortunately, this only works with color images that have been converted to black and white. When you go in, you change the treatment at the top of the Develop panel. Not monochrome images, not like true black and white images, like true monochrome images, but color images that have been converted to black and white, which I would imagine is how most people probably create black and white images anyway. But if you shoot with a monochrome camera, I actually made a video last week, I think it was, about the Leica Q2 monochrome. I did some photography up in New York with it if you're interested in that video, which includes some technical information about shooting in monochrome as well, as far as like handling the raw files from it and everything. You check out that video. I'll link to it up above and down below as well. But for the average person who's shooting in color and converting to black and white, this is a nice way just to see all of your black and white images in one go. And of course, if you want to, you can modify this, a number of different ways, as I've talked about with earlier smart collections as well. Okay, so the next smart collection is going to leverage keywords, which is essentially, Lightroom's terminology for tags. You can assign keywords when you're importing images to your Lightroom library catalog, or you can assign them after the fact if you want to. Now, one of the ways in which they've worked well for me, and one of the ways that I like to use them, is to use them with film images that have been scanned, that kind of stuff. So let me show you an example. All right, so let's create a smart collection. Going to come up here and we're going to create one now. And I don't have my collection set because I switched Lightroom catalogs because I don't have any film scans from this year. Unfortunately, I've just been shooting digital all year. So I had to go back to an earlier album here, or earlier catalog, I meant to say. We're going to go to other metadata, go to keywords, contains, and then I'm just going to type in scan and going to name this scanned film images, hit go, and there we go. So now I have a view of all of my film scans. These are a bunch of medium format images I shot with a Mamiya RZ67 out in, some of you will recognize this. This is Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree area. Also spent some time at Bombay Beach. Really awesome place. Classic slice of Americana here. Interior shot there, and yeah, such a great place. But anyway, yeah, so you get the idea. So you can use that for specialized images. Use your keywords in order to be building some smart collections using that. And again, you can go in and modify that however you want. So for this one, what we're going to do is create a smart collection, file type, come back here, and instead of DNG, going to choose PSD. Also going to throw in a PSB, which is the Photoshop large document format. I end up being forced to save in that quite a bit because I shoot with a 100 megapixel GFX Fujifilm camera. So those PSDs get really, really large. So I have a bit of both. But I always just think of these files as PSDs. So we're going to name this PSDs. Click create. Oh, and I made a mistake actually. Let's go back. We need to change this to any. And we're going to set it to that. Hit save. There we go. So now I'm able to see my PSDs and my PSB files in one collection. And if you're like me, PSDs and PSBs are oftentimes the finished master image, after I've edited the image in Lightroom and then I've, imported that image into Photoshop, cleaned it up, done some additional work on it, whatever, and then saved it. Well, then from that point forward, I'm no longer using the raw file. I'm using the Photoshop document. So having this is a convenient way for me to just pop in here, see my Photoshop documents. And then when I want to edit one, I just go to edit in and then just choose Photoshop. And so it's a nice catalog tool to browse my PSDs that are saved as part of this catalog. All right, so one more before we hit the road here. Let's create one more smart collection, one more that may be helpful for you. And for this one, we are only going to look at or collect together images from a specific camera. So select camera, set this to is, and then you have a string field here. So you type in whatever camera you're using. GFX 100S is what I'm using. And let's call this GFX 100S images, hit create, and now I can see all my GFX images. Now, obviously, you have to know the camera name, like you have to know the metadata for it. And if you're not sure what that is, just click on the image that is captured with the camera that you're looking for. Come down here to metadata in the right column, and here you'll see the model, and you'll see GFX 100S. So that is baked into the metadata of the raw file from the camera. And I find this, by the way, to be much faster than going through the search view in the library and drilling down into the metadata and all that. And, sure, you can do that, but this means you don't have to do that every single time. You don't have to go and search for it. You just have a pre-built smart collection that's ready to go that you can click on. So if you are a Lightroom power user, I would love to hear from you. If you have some smart collections that you've created for your own photography, for your own workflow, ones that work really well for you, that you think other people should know about, let me know down below in the comments. Feel free to post your recipe down there, what the different parameters are, what the things are that you use that work well for you, because I would love to hear it. I would bet there's probably plenty of people out there who've come up with some pretty ingenious smart collections. If you think you have one that I would be interested in other people, please let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you want to see more content like this in the future. Please do. And that's it. I'll see you next time.